Dear TNT family, today is a very special day for the channel. I am beyond humbled and grateful for our guest, Scott Roeder. Roeder is a forensic crime scene expert with years of experience both nationally and throughout other countries.
2018, a case that made national is getting an appeal hearing after alleging misconduct by a juror who was Del Tondo's next door neighbor. New information also came to light about other members of the jury.
There was jury members that were talking to each other, laughing, and it's here in notes. That type of conduct can't happen.
In a multiple-page affidavit, Sheldon's appellate attorney plans to ask a judge on Tuesday morning to take the next step for Sheldon to get a new trial.
I just pray that we get this new trial.
Scott's resume speaks for itself, and the subscribers and members of Truth and Transparency have an exclusive opportunity to interact with one of the world's best when it comes to the science of crime scenes and to hear how important the beginning phases of an investigation are to secure a conclusion that ends with a successful prosecution of the right person or persons. Scott is no stranger to working with lawyers, PIs, and law enforcement, as well as working for defendants that need his testimony and skill set to see to it that they aren't wrongfully convicted. Today's live broadcast focuses on the brutal reality of 4 victims from the University of Idaho, Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie, who have lost their lives at the hands of a coward or cowards. These 4 college students were ambushed while in the comfort of their home, while sleeping in the middle of the night, early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Were stabbed to death on the 2nd and 3rd floors of a 3-story off-campus Moscow, Idaho home, while 2 other roommates on the 1st floor were unharmed and were neither witnesses nor suspects as they slept through the attacks, according to authorities. Please understand that the conversation today may be difficult to hear and engage. With that said, please be respectful if you choose to engage with the live chat feature. All opinions and questions are welcome so long as they are presented respectfully and at appropriate times. No spamming of the live chat will be permitted. Truth and Transparency live chat moderators reserve the right to time out and block any live chatter for any reason. Again, thank you guys for being part of the amazing TNT family. How are you, Scott?
Good. How are you, Lana?
Good. First of all, I want to introduce you to Truth and Transparency. This is the first time you've ever been on a social media platform, correct?
Yeah. I mean, for this kind of an interaction.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
I'm not a subscriber to social media at large, but it's good to be here, and hello, everybody, and hopefully we can have a good discussion.
Well, yes, and we are going to have a great discussion. Again, hello to everybody that is in chat. This is a very, very unique opportunity, one of the best. Please just be kind in chat, talk amongst yourselves. When it's that time for the Q&A, throw your questions up. Those last 20 minutes, we're really going to focus on interaction with Scott, with the viewers. But kind of like, we want to hear from you. I think the viewers want to hear about this case in terms of from a expert's point of view with just, I mean, starting from the beginning, and you know, all the way through. But kind of, if you would just maybe explain a little bit, like, your background with how you even got into this.
Well, I mean, you know, I've been doing this for, I guess, 24 years now. You know, I started off in photography, and then, you know, working through Cleveland area companies. I got involved in doing reconstruction with the Cleveland Police Department on behalf of defending police officers accused of police officer involved shooting cases. And then that kind of evolved, you know, through my 20s, where I went back and studied at the University of New Haven School of Forensic Science under a friend of mine, Dr. Henry Lee. And really that was the time where, you know, after that experience, I started my own company, the Evidence Room, in 2001, where really since that time, I've been focused on putting together the physical and forensic evidence to do reconstructions, whether it's a shooting scene reconstruction or a edged weapon. You know, we've done many of those. So, you know, a lot of times it comes to physical experimentation and putting the process in front of the court so that they can see the experiments that you do to come to forensic conclusions, and also putting together animations to demonstrate the totality, you know, of the interrelationship of the evidence. And that's essentially what we do, is the contextual analysis of the interrelationship of the evidence, and present that as an expert witness in court.
Okay. So when you said that you started off and you were actually with Cleveland and working with the police department, would they involve you in, like, hey, right away, you know, there's a homicide, we want you to come down and
No, I was very young at
okay.
that particular time, maybe 20, 21 years old. And that's when, based on the photography
okay.
that I had, I got involved in litigation with the law department for the City of Cleveland Police Department. So the City of Cleveland Police Department is defended by the Department of Law.
Gotcha.
Which is part of the City Hall.
Okay.
Right. So I would work as a contractor through the City Hall Law Department in defense of Cleveland police officers accused of fatal shootings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've done, I mean, I'd have to sit here and it would take me 2 hours to read, you know, all basically your resume. Kind of just for this is my own question is have you ever got to the point where you're like, I can't do this anymore? This is too, you know, does it bother you?
Well, I mean, you know, when you're involved in, you know, death and every day for, you know, 2 decades, there's a struggle to, I think, you know, not be jaded.
Yeah, yeah.
And see the worst in people. But
see, I look at it like you, as much as, like, I think what would get me through something like that is just knowing that how many people's lives you've saved, or families and stuff like that, with being able to, if somebody's about to be wrongfully convicted, you can testify on their behalf, or for a police officer, same thing.
Yeah, but it's always tragic, you know.
Yeah.
It's even in the cases where we've had just recently here in Cleveland. You know, I testified on a case. This guy John Tajan was been in jail for 28 years for killing Brian McGarry, one of his best friend at the time, in Cleveland in 1989. And it took us 28 years to get a new trial ordered, and that's a great time. Very happy for him, but that's 28 years of his life.
Yeah.
It took 28 years to correct the record.
Yeah.
So it's never just a celebration, you know. It's always a mitigation to it. It's always a bittersweet victory, even when it is a victory. So there's no rejoicing in winning. It's just, I think that's where you have to take an unemotional approach. A lot of people, they talk about the feelings and emotions regarding these cases. And my typical response is, that's not my department.
Okay.
My department is, well, what are the facts? What can we learn from the physical and the forensic evidence? And, how can that help find out what the truth is without pride or passion?
Yeah. So basically being unbiased, right?
Well, you have to be unbiased. There's a lot of experts in this world that, for example, in the world of police law enforcement expertise, there are more people than you would think that only testify for the police. And then there's a lot of people that only testify for the plaintiff. I consider those people ideological.
Okay.
I'm not ideological. I don't automatically think the cops did anything wrong, nor do I automatically think anybody should be killed. I think every case has to be looked at on a very individual basis, and I have no problem testifying against the police department in civil or working for the prosecutor's office in trying to get a conviction. I think you have to look at all of those things as each individual case has an element of truth that has to be found. And I'm not looking to take sides with anybody, or am I looking to judge anybody's character? It's simply, what does the evidence say?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when we've talked and you said, that's what I love about you, is it's like, hey, this is the evidence. This is what it says.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I was like, hey, have you seen this, Idaho 4? Like, have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah. Actually, one case I did in Cleveland, Ohio, about, I want to say, probably 15, 16 years ago now. I did with a friend of mine, great attorney by the name of Marcus Sidoti. It was a death penalty case. Okay. This guy, boyfriend of a mother with a 10-year-old child, and the guy got high on a wet joint, which is, I guess, marijuana with crystal meth on it.
Oh, really?
And became so high that he went to the emergency room, and they didn't treat him. Ultimately, he left before they could get to him, and he goes back home, and he gets high again because he came down a little bit. Not a very good decision, involuntary intoxication. And then he started hallucinating, and he took a large knife, and he almost decapitated a 12-year-old, his girlfriend's 12-year-old or 10-year-old son that was sitting on the couch playing video games. That's probably the only case that I've worked on that's as brutal as this case. Most times, most murders that I've worked on, it's always a man who's dead. Almost always. 99.5% of the time, it's always a man, right? And that's the victim. Yeah, usually the victim is always a man. 95% of the time. And I think my last check, I've worked on over 1,000 cases. Yeah. So this case with 3 women and 1 guy killed at the same time, in the way that they were killed. I was absolutely shocked by this, and it takes a minute to get your head around the type of an individual that can do that. I think you have to put a big pause there. This isn't a traditional crime of passion where this lover jilted me, or I'm going to leave this person, and not that kind of a thing. Like a domestic where let's like they lived at that house or something like that, and it was just 2 people. Right. Yeah. Because even in those cases, there's rational and irrational things that happen. Right. So it's understandable if 2 people are in a relationship and one person feels jolted and they kill each other. It's not justifiable, but you can understand it. You can get your brain around it. There's some the motive, the situation. Yeah, you can get your brain around it. It's not excusable, but you can understand it. Yeah, but this is hard to understand, this case. So yeah, I think that was my first reaction: is this some kind of a serial killer? And what's your thoughts about that word right there? Serial killer. I was going to actually pull up a little bit of the drone footage just so to show the housing again. But in terms of, what do you think about when you think of serial killer? You're thinking no ties to a person in terms of random. Yeah, pick a victim at random, or you could pick a victim with a purpose, but the victim doesn't know the purpose.
And the victim usually doesn't know the person.
Yeah, in a serial killer type of situation, they're looking for a type of people. Somebody some people that represent something they hate. It doesn't have to be that individual person that they hate, but they're the kind of people that they hate.
Got you. So, yeah, it's like, I don't know you to hate you, but whatever you represent, I hate.
Right, because you have something that I don't have.
So in this situation, let's just throw this out there. Would you consider somebody to be a serial killer if these people, they were all involved with the Greek life? So they were involved in sororities and fraternities, and they got obviously bidded on. They rushed, they were bidded on. So could this be somebody that maybe rushed and wasn't bid on, like in terms of you have something that I want? Or is that when you're saying like
I mean, that's a very good point right there, because I'm thinking, well, what do they have that was taken away from them all at the same time? They had each other, right? So I think this person, whoever did this, was very jealous that these people had each other. That's why all four of them were killed in the way that they were killed, I think.
But you would, it's without seeing obviously the crime scene to know, like this, for example, like this, would it be possible that the reason that one or two of the victims were killed is because they simply, heard something, walked out of a room, or was it, you know what I mean? Or what do you think?
No, not at all. This is way bigger than that.
Way bigger than that?
Way bigger than that. This is the kind of a crime scene that is so, it's a very contradicting kind of crime scene.
Contradicting, okay.
Yeah, because it's so brutal.
Okay.
And seemingly so unhinged that you would think it was a madman.
Right. Like.
However, it was not a madman, because madmen always get caught right away.
Bingo.
There's the contradiction.
So you would think, like anybody normally would think, oh my God, who would do such a thing? This person is a mad person.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, okay, raving lunatic. They're just, total mental illness type of stuff and wasn't being treated, and that they would then get caught.
Right.
Well, we're at a month here. Would you think that if it was this raving lunatic mad person, that they would have been caught by this point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because you think about the sheer fact of taking a knife, I'm assuming it's a knife similar to this, right?
Okay.
Taking a knife like this, and if you've never killed...
Can I ask how big that is? Like, how many inches?
I think it's 13 inches from here to here.
13 from tip?
From here to here.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's like 18 or 19 from the end all the way.
Wow.
So I mean, I think it's.
That's like when you like actually put that on the screen, like the first time to see somebody like holding it.
Yeah.
That's way like it's not like it's 6 inches.
This is a heavy,
Is that considered like Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean this is a heavy knife, and you can go.
Wow.
Right. This is a powerful weapon, and this is probably the kind of weapon that was used.
Wow. And it would like who would ever, would you say, who would ever have that? Like who would ever be like?
I acquired this at a sporting goods store.
Okay.
And I used it for an experiment that I worked on.
So, but you have it because of what you do.
Yeah, but I mean anybody can buy this. If you're a hunter, you might have something like this. If you're a deer hunter, or if you're going out there and you want to gut a deer after you shoot a deer. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the perfect knife to gut a deer.
So for a hunter would have that.
Sure, or any kind of a survivalist.
Okay.
You could chop wood with this part right here. You can chop down a tree with it on the side.
Mm-hmm. And so like for somebody that would be living like a college dorm or a college fraternity.
This is Idaho.
Yeah. A lot of hunters. You start hunting young.
Yeah, I've been to Idaho. I just,
Okay.
I've been to Idaho. It's rugged land. I've done cases up in Wyoming. It's not unusual that cowboys have a knife like this on their holster. In a sheath. These aren't very uncommon. You can go up to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy one right now, probably for $40.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that they'd be more money, but $40, you just...
Yeah, $40. Yeah. They're not expensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And I didn't buy this special for today. I was like, as I was logging into this thing, I was like, oh, wow, look.
Look at what yeah. Well, I'm sure you've done gazillion reenactments, so I could see that you'd have something like that. So when you're thinking of this case, that they're 19, 20, 21-year-olds, the time of death, they were, sleeping or could have been sleeping in beds, the layout of the house, I could pull that up and show you a little bit of this drone footage. I think the first question is with the amount of blood, how do you leave the residence and not have it out your path to leave? Would it be there? The dripping of like that knife, if you're leaving with that, obviously, because it wasn't left behind.
Yeah.
Could it be?
You can clean off a knife and put it in your jacket and not,
And not drip.
Yeah, but my guess is because of how bloody this crime scene is going to be, that whoever did this either brought a change of clothes or was wearing coveralls, But that's so demonic to think that somebody would go that prepared.
But when you say like coveralls, like you mean like a bib in terms of like a hunting gear?
No, it's like something to cover your exterior clothing that after the killing you could rip away, throw in a bag, and take with you.
So that after you were done, you would take that off, put in a garbage bag.
Yeah.
But what about your shoes?
Wear a pair of painter's coveralls.
Okay, and then what about your what about like your shoes?
Well, you'd have to put like little booties on, like a painter would have walking through your house. So a painter, whoever, like if you're a painter, you would have all the equipment that you need. You'd have the white coveralls that zip up the front. You'd have a hood so that your hair wouldn't be around. You'd have rubber gloves, and then you'd have little cloth booties around your shoes. And then after the killing, you could take all of it off, put it in a bag, crumple it up the size of your fist, and take it with you. But think about that.
But that requires.
Yeah, think about that level of planning. That's not a madman. That's a cool, calculated, calm, patient, motivated murderer to be able to do that. Now, what are the other options? The other options are you go into the house, you do the killing, you take off all of your clothes because you're going to be covered in blood, and then you steal clothes from the people that are there that aren't bloody, and you wear their clothes out. But that means you would have to either take your bloody clothes with you or leave your bloody clothes behind. Which
you would leave potentially. Do you believe that this person would have cut themselves, or that the people that were the victims would have scratched? Or
yeah, absolutely. And this is one thing that I fully agree with the family when they make statements that everybody should be on the lookout and everybody should be worried.
I agree with you on that.
I agree.
100%.
And I think the other thing is people need to be looking out for men or a man. I've heard other experts in this case say they think it's two people. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know how you can get two people of like mind, of like calmness, of like calculation to do this horrendous act, right? So I'm still more of the opinion that maybe it's a single person.
Mm-hmm.
But a strong, definitely a man, most likely a white man, most likely a white incel, like one of those involuntary celibate type people.
Interesting.
And definitely somebody who has injuries. If anybody out there that's watching this knows anybody over there that was involved in Idaho or across the border in Washington that fits that description, that has injuries to their hands, knuckles, face, scratches around their neck area, around their face, around their eyes, that maybe have gotten a brand new haircut, that maybe are wearing clothes that they've never worn before. Like those are the people that I think you should be looking at, because I think the evidence is indicating to me that Seth, right?
Ethan.
I'm sorry, Ethan. He was found not in the bed.
That's
on the floor.
That's what they're trying. We're getting conflicting stories, but from what his mom, his mom came out with an interview right away, and she was saying that they were found in the same room, but she didn't necessarily say that they were in a bedroom, but they just said that they were in the same room.
Right.
So yeah.
But there was a report of an unconscious person on the floor.
Well, correct, but they were trying to say that could have possibly been because the person that originally called 911 when she was going outside of the house, that she fainted. So then the person that's the friend was like, oh my God, I have an unconscious person here. Oh. Or was it because of the person inside? That's right. Being still kind of not being cleared.
Yeah.
But let's go with it if it was the person. Let's say that it was because of an unconscious person.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing is we need to know maybe not we need to know, but what law enforcement needs to know, or what I'm sure they're looking at right now, is the defensive injuries that each of these people would have had, and also the toxicology of all four of the. That's extremely important for a number of reasons. That is helpful to determine, were they given a drug that made them more non-responsive?
It's funny that you say that, and not funny, but it's interesting because the coroner that was interviewed about that, they asked about the toxicology, and she said, I don't see that being an issue, being relevant in this manner of death, or,
Of course it's relevant, because it goes to the state of mind of the deceased and whether or not they had the ability to fight back. So it's extremely relevant from the standpoint. Also, people that are extremely intoxicated, for example, their blood, they bleed faster. Their blood is a little thinner, right?
Yeah, when you get tattoos, they tell you not to drink, right?
Right, yeah, because it makes you bleed more, right? And then they could be coming down from drugs as well, which will lower their ability to have any kind of acuity, right? I'm not blaming anybody. They're 21 years old. I'm not blame anybody. This is just people doing their regular life that got caught in a horrific situation. So it's not a judgment of character on anybody.
Yeah.
It's more of what are all of the factual. What are all the things that made this happen? Because a lot of things had to go perfect for the killer to get away with this.
Interesting. So a lot of things had to be
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to go the killer's way.
And do you think that in this situation, without seeing the crime scene, right, was there anything that was a surprise? Like, for example, two roommates, bottom floor. There was two beds on each level with
right,
a bathroom on each level, but the middle level was where your living room and your kitchen are, and then you
right,
had your third level, which had two bedrooms
right,
and a bathroom, and then you had your bottom, which had 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and like a laundry. So, did this person or persons, the 2 surviving roommates, not hearing anything, I fault them not at all for like not waking up until like 11 or noon or whatever. Like that's normal for college kids. But what do you, in terms of if this is not a mad person and there was some calculation here, who all lives in that house, where their windows are, like they could see out obviously the front, but now they have no windows in those 2 bedroom where those girls were to see out the back or.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the layout of the house. I mean, it looked like it was buttoned up pretty good, for bedtime. There didn't seem to be anything obviously out of order. I think that there's going to be critical witnesses coming from the apartment building that's in the front. You know how that house is kind of a little bit.
Yep.
To the would be, if you're looking at a photograph of it, to the left side of the apartment of that house is an apartment building, but it's in the front more.
Yeah.
There's buildings on the side. There's windows on the side, people's bedrooms, and I know that there was a male that gave a statement, saying that he heard a scream at about 4 a.m. and that he saw a black SUV that he hadn't seen before in that driveway. But that's all that the statement was. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a Hyundai, but I haven't heard a lot of talk about a black SUV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're that is out there, 100% that's out there. I think that he would have been able to, there are those trees up along that side. Could he obviously, see whatever, being parked there, especially if it's more towards like the front of the pulling up the driveway? Yeah. Is it weird to you that they wouldn't hear anything? Do you think that there wouldn't be screams?
I mean, it's cold, I'm sure everybody's windows are down, or, windows are shut. Everybody's heater's on. So to hear a scream.
And then you have your TVs on,
Yeah, right, whatever. There's a lot of ambient noise. Although it's a small town, it might be quiet, but it's a college town. I'm sure it's not unusual to hear somebody make a noise at 4 a.m. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important that every lead gets followed up on. And the thing that's really tragic is the window, we've all heard, 48 hours is the most important time after a murder to find out who, to catch the killer.
Yeah.
Right? And it's been almost a month now, or how long it's been, over a month. Mm-hmm. This whole community ran for the hills after this happened. Yep. So there's no way to do a head count of who's there still versus who's not there that should be there.
Exactly. And yeah, because it was basically like given away to be like, hey, if you want to start doing your classes online, you can. If you want to stay here and do them, all the teachers are going to be working with that. I think that it's important to look at the students that opted to do, the Zoom. Not saying that they're guilty, but you're giving people a way to not be able to do their everyday life the way that they used to, and that's a big part of this. Who changed after this,
Right, yeah, because, I mean, in a perfect world, now mind you, this isn't New York City, this isn't Los Angeles, this isn't Miami or Dallas, this is a little town.
Yeah, little college town, 23,000, 11,000 students.
And for something like this to happen, I'm sure even the police were in shock. First responders were in shock, so I don't blame them either. They'd be like, yeah, I'm a crime scene expert. Maybe I might not be in shock by that, but okay, I'm an amateur baseball player, and now you get me an at bat in the World Series, with 2 outs on the line for the Cleveland Guardians. I think I might choke. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a big moment. It's a big moment, right? This is a big moment. And it's not any fault of anybody. I don't want to blame anybody. God bless law enforcement for doing the best that they can. I'm certainly glad now. But here's my point. I'm softening up my point. In a perfect world, after that murder, I would have done a head count of everybody in every class in every fraternity, like the very next Monday, right? Have everybody show up at school. Who's not here? Who's acting funny? I'm sure everybody's freaking out.
Yeah, who has? Then let's all see your hands and let's see.
Yeah, everybody come in, show your hands. Let's see your face. you know. And I think the key to this family, or the key to this, and hopefully it hasn't just gone cold, because I'm really fearful that whoever did this is long gone. Because if they're not long gone, that means they're being protected.
Bingo.
Because I don't know anybody who could, not that I would know anybody, but I've met a lot of people. I've met people accused of murder. I've met people convicted of murder, right? Like, I know how people act after they've killed somebody. And unless you're a total sociopath with no regard for human feeling or your own soul, could just go about your everyday 9 to 5 student life, work life, whatever, after killing 4 people like that, I can't imagine anyone being able to do that. I can't even imagine it. So whoever did this is gone, or they're being protected by people who know how to protect people.
I mean, I agree completely.
I think it's probably gone. I think whoever did this is gone.
Well, if that's the case, what ties would they have ever had there that they can just be gone and stay gone?
Well, I mean, the 2 ways to do it. You can go on the, you can go get gone local, where you just go into the weeds somewhere, or you can get gone international. But I think it would be, I think the FBI, if this person left the country, I think the FBI is all over it.
Because if there's a possibility of that.
Oh yeah. I guarantee you right now, there's 5 FBI agents going through every international flight log of anybody from Idaho or Washington State. Anybody who has left the country from Idaho or Washington, they're going to get a knock on their door while they're on vacation or the minute they get back.
And then also, so you also have all the lists of all the students. I mean, do you think that this could be if you were to profile the age range, do you think that this could have been a student?
18 to 35.
18 to 35.
White male. 100%.
And, for this to be, you have 4 people instead of 1. So for law enforcement, and you see, the information, and then the family's saying, well, you're clearing people way too soon. How are you clearing people? What are their alibis? Like, what's going on here? Is that, normal to hear that? Should, it's...
Well, I think it's a little weird to publicly clear somebody without a suspect. You don't have to say that they're a suspect to clear them, but to specifically say they're cleared is a little bit weird.
Okay.
The law enforcement shouldn't go out of their way to make people go, well, the heat's off, right? And that's
or to have like the public think that, oh, it's okay to be around that person or something like that.
Well, I think that here's the tough part with law enforcement when you have such a case of national and international interest like we have here, is you're going to have a lot of people maybe falsely putting pressure on people that are innocent. Yeah. Right? And that's wrong, and that should never be done. So it's a tough job for law enforcement right now, and thank God for the families, the FBI's there, because this is way too big of a job for any local police department to handle on their own. Any small state highway patrol department, it's too small. They just don't have the kind of history of dealing with mass murder like the FBI does. So the fact that the FBI is on this thing makes me feel a lot more comfortable. But the FBI should have been on this thing on day 2, day 1. But
okay,
who's to say?
Yeah. So for it to be like 30 days, would you, if you were a father, I mean, you are a father, but let's just say, you're an average father, you don't do the line of work that you do.
Yeah.
Would you, at this point, hire a private investigator?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would have an army of people interviewing every single person that my kids knew, and that any one of these 4 kids knew, families, friends, and trying to find somebody, trying to find out some information. Who's missing?
Who hasn't been around? Who's been acting different?
Yeah. Definitely who's been acting differently. But from a profiling standpoint, this is going to be an introverted person.
Okay.
Because stabbings. Now listen, you could have just as easily grabbed a 22 and killed them with a 22.
I have a question for you for that. Campus policy. Now, I don't know if it stands for like off-campus housing, but on campus housing, you're not allowed to have a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Would that weigh into the fact that, well, I couldn't have a gun, so this is what I had to use? Because
I mean, you can go into, like I said, you can go into any sporting goods store in Idaho and walk out of there inside of an hour with a gun.
Okay, so they would just be like,
yeah, you can just go buy a gun. Just because there's a policy that you're not allowed to own a gun doesn't mean people don't have guns. Well, there are more guns in America than there are people.
Yeah.
And this is just the precise point that, and I'm not going to make a political point, but people kill people.
Guns,
Weapons don't kill people.
100%, I agree. I mean,
I'd kill you with a bowling ball if I wanted to, right?
Yeah. I could kill you with my car.
It's about the cars kill more people than guns, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my dad have this.
Medicine and drugs kill people. You can give somebody an overdose and kill them.
Yeah.
But the fact that this was a knife, to me, says it was an introverted person filled with rage and hostility. And this act of mutilating these people with a giant blade of some sort is a fulfillment of this rage. It's a satisfaction of this internal rage that this person has. I think this is a loner, an isolated, quiet person that probably does not make eye contact with many people. A person who's
a single person.
Yes, definitely single. Oh, for sure. This isn't some father. This isn't an uncle. This is a
single person.
This is the same kind of kid that would shoot up Columbine or Sandy Hook or any of it. This is a white male introvert loner who is angry with the world, and he saw these four beautiful, attractive, outgoing, vibrant personalities and wanted to snuff it out because he didn't have that in his life. It was filled with gray, loneliness, and solitude, and he lashed out at somebody who had something that he had, which was love.
I was going to say, so love was a big thing. Like they're missing like love from either their peers, their family. Because if you look at actually around all these like the victims, there's just so much love from their parents. They're always going on family trips and doing things as a family together, and they're clearly the center of these families' lives. Like they're involved with their lives. They boast about them. They are on social media. Oh my God, I love my family. We're here. We're doing this. We're taking all these pictures. We're living it up.
Yeah. So had hope. These four people they had hope. Every picture I see of all four of these kids, every single one is smiling.
Yeah, every day's like their best day.
Every day's a great day for them. And that's great. That's how you want your children to be. So this person, who did this does not have a good family structure. This is a quiet, lonely individual. And so it does fit the definition of a stalker, but I don't think a stalker, maybe a stalker of opportunity.
A stalker of opportunity.
Right? But who knows if it could have been Kaylee, I think that's where everybody's kind of focusing their attention.
Well, I was going to get into that. Because I think the hang up that I kind of have is, do you really think this person went in there with the intent to kill all these people? Because then why were there two survivors? They could have been witnesses that you don't know if they would have saw you and looked out the window. I mean, or heard something. I'm just curious in the terms of like, was there a reason that those two weren't harmed? Was it a message to say, yeah, I just came for y'all? Like,
well, maybe they didn't even, if they came through that back sliding glass door onto the second floor, which would have been the main, I call that the first floor.
yeah, that's what I
think the other one was more the garage level. You know,
yeah,
like
it's kind of, yeah. But for
go,
purposes of like just, you know, the bottom level.
Right. So the middle level is where they would go in. And if they went in on that middle level, they might not even have known that there was other people in the house. If that area of the house was closed, and by all accounts, it might have been because, you know, because if the dog was able to run throughout the whole house, I'm assuming that, I don't know who's.
Well, they said the dog was in an like basically the dog did not have any blood. You know, nothing was on the dog, so it was in a room. Yeah. And there's like people that are saying it could have been in the laundry room, in a pen, in Kaylee's bedroom, in one of the surviving. That has not been.
Whose dog was that?
Kaylee and her boyfriend's.
Okay.
But her dog was moving. In February, she had like an internship that was February to June. Yeah. She had posted in October 11th, that she was looking for a roommate in Texas for February to June. So people that think that she was going to start in January, it's actually she was not planning on being there until February.
She was going to Texas?
Yeah, and it was just it was to do an intern. Is what it's being said as, but it was only from February until June, so it was a very short period of time. Yeah. And she was she had posted on social media looking, and she had mentioned her dog, which was 25 pounds, but the facts is that she wasn't going to be starting in January, and that's being set out there. It starts in February, and she was going to Europe, I believe, before that started. Wow. So, you know, and everybody that was a victim here, they're very, you know, their social medias are very active, and a knife is really personal. Do you believe that it could be anything other than that weapon that you have there with you? Do you think that there's a chance that you hear her dad talk? You hear Kaylee's dad.
It could have been a knife like this too. I mean, this isn't as big, but this is a fixed blade. It's also a pretty sturdy knife. You can do a lot of damage with that too. You know, it could have been something like that as well.
Have you ever heard of the blood? I want to talk about time of death here. Yeah. So I'm going to show you a picture. Well, here, kind of before I do that, what have you been told about being able to, you know, you get to a crime scene, and what are the first things that they would be doing to determine that, in your experience? On
time of death?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to want to look at what kind of rigor mortis is going on. Okay. So rigor mortis, typically from the time of death to full rigor, is about 12 hours. So, but it cascades through your body from top to bottom. So the first part, you know, over the first hour or two is going to be your face, your eyes are going to have rigor, which means stiffness, right?
Okay.
And then your trunk, then your limbs, and then after 12 hours, your whole body will be stiff, like cement almost. And then
how long do you think that takes? You said to get completely like stiff like that?
12 hours.
12. Okay. Yeah. So if the murders were between 3 and 4 a.m. and they were found at noon, that wouldn't have happened yet.
Yeah, they would not have been in full rigor at that point, but they would have been close, because that would have been like 8 hours or so, right? Okay. And then after 12 hours of death, another 12 hours, they'll slowly come out of rigor. In that state. So after 24 to 30 hours, they'll be fully flexible again.
Okay, so then they would be okay. Yeah. Because they're saying, you know, they believe like this 3 to 4 time frame. Do you think that they're getting that? But the coroner didn't say that. It's just weird. She didn't want to talk about that and didn't know that. But the cops were like, well, it's 3 to 4. And I'm just curious as to.
Well, it all depends on when the coroner would see it, right? So the first responders, whoever saw them first and touched the body, they would know what level of rigor they're in. But if the coroner doesn't get there until after rigor has already subsided, that's what's called kind of ephemeral evidence. It's only witnessable when you see it, and then after that, 24 hours, then you really don't know because you weren't there. And
so I guess
so it might not be first-hand knowledge by the coroner herself. The time she got there, but that doesn't necessarily mean the time the body was first looked at.
Okay. So is that because they called her at noon, she got that phone call at noon, like, kind of like they did.
Yeah.
And she said that she didn't go in the house until about 5:30 because they were doing everything they needed to do. And I kind of was like, well, don't you kind of need to get in there just to hey, what are we thinking about, for time of death or any, that you would want somebody like her to be in there just to, even if it's
Well, I think you have to make a decision there.
Okay.
About what's more important, the integrity of the crime scene, the time of death, or a unpolluted crime scene. I think you have to make that judgment call, and I think it's a tough call to make, but I think you want to have as least of a disturbed crime scene as possible to preserve footprints, to preserve forensic evidence on the body, blood patterns, blood pooling, blood droplets. Now, this is a Herculean blood evidence complex scene.
They took 4,000 pictures, Scott. 4,000.
They're going to need to take about 4,000 samples of blood. Every single item in that house, every fiber of carpet, every bed sheet, mattress, all of that could have the killer's blood commingled with the victim's blood. So to say that this case is going to be solved by the forensics is very optimistic.
Okay.
Because when you have a complex blood scene, it's easy when you have one victim and a gunshot wound and back spatter and blood spatter, and you've got blood pooling and dropping. Even if it's 2 victims or 3 victims in an open space. But when you have cast off blood, blood pooling, blood from victims mixing with each other, and then on the floor, all over, even if the killer got cut and bled into that blood pool, you have to get the very spot where the blood mixed, or else you're not going to be able to tell. Imagine you take a bucket of paint and throw it on your room, and then you take an eyedropper with a slightly different color red paint, and you drop it in the middle. Good luck trying to find that needle in a haystack.
Okay.
So they say DNA could solve the case, but maybe a couple of years from now, once it's going to take them hundreds, if not thousands of hours to process all of those blood samples. I think go ahead.
When I just, as you were saying, I was just thinking about something here with, take all these samples. Do you see how those stools are right there?
Yeah.
And they're blocking. This was captured from the drone footage, just like a still that I took.
Yeah.
Would the police have put those in there, or would the girls have put that in there?
No, I think the girls probably put that in there, because to me that looks like an improvised doorstop from somebody who doesn't know how to make a doorstop. Because they've.
So you don't think the police had? You don't think the police did that?
No, I don't think so. I think that looks like an improvised security device by one of the kids of the place.
So, but they're saying that law enforcement placed that there.
Who's saying that?
That's what it's kind of been out there, saying that law enforcement did that
I wouldn't do that. Matter of fact, I mean, if I'm law enforcement, I have all kinds of tools. I could put, most law enforcement carry some kind of a club stick in the car. And depending on the size of the window, you could break off individual segments and put this in the door if you wanted to stop it. But I don't see why law enforcement would put over a couple of bar stools like that. To me, that looks like something a kid would do. To like, hey, you know, the door, we're gonna lock. We don't have a lock on the door. I mean, because what's the point of doing that? They already taped up the door. I don't understand why they. I mean, they could. I can't. I'm not saying that they didn't. I don't have any personal knowledge. I just know I wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
I have more sophisticated tools just in my bag here.
Yeah, like why would you take those two stools? Like, you don't even know what could be possibly on those stools.
Yeah, I mean,
those where people sit. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, no.
So this is interesting here, though, because that is in fact there. Now, who put that there? I don't know. It could be law enforcement. I would think not. If they, you know, maybe that is. I don't know. But the door's already taped, so you're not opening up that door without the seal being broken and somebody being alerted. I'm assuming after the killings happened, this house is under 24/7 surveillance. There is a report, though, however, that front door on the first floor on the garage side by the parking area was open, according to other witnesses. But the police department, particularly the police chief, didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm. He said, he's like, I didn't even know about that.
But that's not uncommon, you know. So
and I think that's where we're wondering if, like, well, yeah, was it open because the girl ran out of the apartment, the house, when she saw the bodies? Like, is that from, you know?
No, I would think that
like that person's statement is like she got that information. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, if I arrived there and I was the police and this door was open, well, that's because the girl came out and she passed out. Or is it, or are you referring to like one of like the neighbors that said when they had went to work or in the morning they had saw that it was open at like 8 or 9? Because that's that one.
That.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is, to me, it just doesn't look like something law enforcement would do. Take a couple of stools and wedge them up against the screen door. I mean, that to me is what a scared kid does when they go to bed so that the boogeyman doesn't get in.
It's funny that you use those words. Yeah, that's exactly what her mom was saying, that it's like this is the work of like the boogeyman because that's who comes for people when they sleep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, and when kids are scared and they go to bed and it's dark and, you know, and you got a screen door, it appears to be something that somebody could get through. Yeah, I mean, most people would wedge the door with a baseball bat, you know, or chop down a piece of wood so you know, you can't slide it open. You know, like I said, that looks like a kid did that. And then with the report of the other door being open, you know, I think it's more likely that what's possible that the point of entrance and exit could be from that first floor. But that calls into question, well, what's going on the first floor with the two people that were sleeping there? And that was like, it was a boy and a girl, right? They were on the first floor with the dog?
Oh, no, just the two girls.
There was two other girls in that first floor.
Yeah, yep, in separate rooms. And
the dog was on that level, too.
Well, that's, I mean, they haven't, I'm going based off of law enforcement. There has been no, all it said that the dog was unharmed. The dog did not have any, you know, blood or, you know, fire, you know, just, and then they released the dog to a responsible party, to somebody that they felt was, you know,
but there's a big point of caution here, right? For all the young kids out there living alone in off housing. Don't go to bed drunk, right? Yeah.
Right.
Be on your toes. I mean, I think the partying and drinking and going to bed until you're blackout drunk puts you very vulnerable, doesn't it? But if you go to bed 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and you're not drinking or doing drugs, and you know you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, which I know that's not everybody's lifestyle, right? Yeah. But somebody comes into my bed at midnight after I go to bed early and with no alcohol or drugs in my system. Oh yeah, good luck getting 1 inch in my house without, you know, 5 guns from every entrance and 2 wild animals attacking me. You know, don't put yourself in a position where you're vulnerable, right? You know, and I'm not saying it's their fault, but I think to the people that are survivors, all the kids out there in Idaho and Washington that are going to bed on a Saturday night, hey, maybe you should change your lifestyle right now. No more drinking, no more drugs, no more sleeping pills. Everybody should be on their toes, their head on a swivel, looking for this freaking maniac. I think the regular lifestyle of college party life in all areas should stop right now, and everybody should just start head on a swivel, because you live in an evil world filled with evil people, and you better see what's coming, because there's something coming for everyone. It's just, are you looking for it or not? I don't mean to be a dad, but as a dad, that's what I'm saying to my daughter right now. You lock your doors at night and you don't go to bed drunk. You know?
Like just be.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
So a couple last questions, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn it over so that we can have some, the 20 minutes with.
I didn't mean to get my horse there.
No, you did. No, I agree. I mean, your parents, you're just like, hey, like, guys, come on, like, I don't care what anyone's saying right now. We really should think about this. Yeah. There's somebody that went and had no problem going in someone's home and murdering 4 people with a knife.
Be ready to defend yourself. Everybody, be ready to defend yourself. Because as we all know, law enforcement is simply there to respond. They're not there to prevent. They can't prevent it. You can only prevent it from happening. Police can only respond to it. You are your only defense in this world. Everybody should know how to defend themselves. Everybody should live their life not worried, not scared, but be ready to defend yourself. Because something's coming for everyone.
Yeah, paying attention. I'm guilty of it. We're all probably guilty of it with like our phones and stuff like that. Like you're not as I would have seen that, something. But
I'm not trying to, like I said, it's just a dad instinct.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's all it is. I mean, I'm just imagining what I'm saying to my daughter right now.
Yeah.
Who's just slightly older than these girls. And,
Yep. So, when they want to talk about, like, have you ever heard of the term that a residence would be targeted? Like, versus, like, we're still trying to determine if the residence was targeted or a person or persons in the house was targeted. I've never heard of someone saying that a residence was targeted. Have you ever heard that?
Well, I think I have heard that, but in the standpoint of, like, for example, on social media, right? Kids out there, whether you're doing TikTok, or you're doing other things, whatever that might be, don't reveal where you live to people you don't know. Don't give out your address, because there's crazy people out there. So if law enforcement says they targeted a residence, maybe they have information that somebody saw something, that this house was vulnerable, that the house was put on display for the public to see, that the house was targeted because it was considered a soft target.
So,
maybe that, But again, that's not the raving of a madman. This is a calculated, cool, chill, under control, brave individual to go and plan this and get away with it and continue to get away with it. Total 100% sociopath, which I think that takes it out of a past relationship, out of a slighted lover, and into the ground of kind of a terrorist kind of thing. How back in the days of terror, like, war on, this is a terrorist who is terrorizing people who have love, friendship, and companion. This is a loner, this is a killer, and if I had to put my money on it, if this person's cornered, they will kill again. This is dangerous person.
We were talking about that, and I kind of liked how when you said that, they're going to kill again, whether it's themselves or somebody else. Yeah. They have it in them, clearly.
Yeah. This person will not be taken alive unless a family member, a mother or a father or a friend knows this person and sets them up for arrest. As soon as this person knows that they're onto them, they're going to kill themselves or they're going to kill somebody and then kill themselves. But I don't think there's any chance of catching this person alive without cooperation from somebody close to the person. And you're frozen on me right now. I don't know what's going on. I know I can't hear or see you. You're frozen. I don't know what I should do here. Oh, am I the only one in it now? Okay. All right. I guess it's my show, guys. Welcome to the Evidence Room show. I apologize for getting on my horse there, but I think that's something that people should talk about. We live in a dangerous world, and all you kids out there living on your own, be prepared. Self-defense classes, be on your toes. Don't drink, don't do drugs. Be ready for what's coming. That's the cold, hard truth of it. There's not a whole lot of time to dance and play when you realize the evil that is out there in the world, and it's there. And I think say a prayer for this family. Whoever you pray to, whether you believe in God or not.
Sorry about that.
I was just doing a solo.
You're good. I was like, what the heck just happened here?
So I was about ready to lead everybody in prayer.
I was like, oh God, here we go. Just a little crash session. It's all we need. Sorry about that, Scott. Hold on. I was just I didn't even do anything. I was like, what is going on here?
No, you were frozen. You were only gone for like 30 seconds. So good hands. You got it quick. So.
Okay, good.
All right, we're getting on 2:17 my time here.
Yeah. So I was just gonna.
So.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch this over to highlight some of these questions. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, sure. I can do like 15 minutes of Q&A, but I got to go after that.
Okay, sounds perfect. Let me just fire this up. So here we go, guys. Again, first of all, Scott, thank you so much. I think that it's just, for me, it's a breath of fresh air to talk to somebody that, obviously the experience you have, but I just, the logic, the common sense, and that you put it in perspective of like, we are parents.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say thank you.
Sure. And I want to thank you for what you're doing. I think,
Thank you.
The effort of alternative news reporting is an important thing, because we should always have multiple perspectives on these events that shape our lives. But I urge everyone to think for yourself, do your own multiple resources to find your news so that you can find the truth out there. Because the truth is out there. You have to work to find it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is. And especially like, I believe that mainstream media doesn't have all the answers. And ultimately, when you're getting paid and it's a certain agenda, it could sometimes, like you said in the beginning,
Yeah.
you follow the evidence, you have testified on both sides, and that's not who you are. So a lot of people have written in chat, thank you so much. I just went ahead and said, put your questions in chat. So if you guys have those questions, now is the time. I will highlight them, and then Scott can, question here from Lisa. Lisa says, do you think this case will be solved? Is this a solvable case?
If I put my money on it, no.
No?
I don't think it will be solved. I think that this case goes cold. And unless somebody close to the killer gives the killer up, I'm not sure. I doubt it. And I'm so sorry to say that, but I'm just talking about my gut. I think it's very tough. Very tough.
So that's also why you believe that if you were in the same position as these parents, you would be getting a private investigator. And
yeah, sure, I would be. There would be no. Do I think it was personal? Yeah, I think it's personal to the person who killed them, because whether Ethan, Zana, Kaylee, Maddie individually did something to this person or not, whether they knew it or not, it was personal to the person who did it. Now, if one of these 4 kids knew about it, I'm not sure if they even knew about it. But yeah, a knife killing is always personal.
In some type of way. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
very intimate. It's more than personal. It's intimate.
It's instant.
Yeah.
Here's a good question for you. This is from Bad Girl, do you think the killer was in the house before they got home?
Possibly, yeah. I think it's a very good possibility that somebody was lying, and that's a terrific question, by the way. I think that it's very possible that somebody could have been lying in wait, and that's why nobody saw them, because they were there while everybody was gone, lying in wait. That's a very good question. I think it's very possible.
Okay. And then what would you do differently or the same if you were working as law enforcement on this case for what you know right now?
Well, what I would have done differently is...
You kind of mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, what I would have done differently, but, hey, armchair quarterbacking is easy, right? Mm-hmm. But what I would have done differently is I would have done an immediate head count of every student on that following Monday morning and had a mandatory attendance for every fraternity, every sorority, every janitor, every student on that campus, and I would have done a head count. Now, is that practical? I don't know. But this is a extreme situation where extreme tactics need to be done to do a head count, because I would have put up roadblocks within hours. I would have shut down all highways.
Like nobody's getting out of one's getting out of this town.
Lock everything down right away. Lock everything down in your spot. Shelter in place. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's not sheltered, you need to look at them.
Okay. Yeah. Here's I don't know if you know.
But here's the follow-up with that is, I don't know if that's constitutional. I don't know if you can lock down an entire community. I know that's what I would want to do, like shelter in place, not go home, not go on, but stay right where you are.
Well, at the very minimum, I think that the university could definitely do a mandatory roll call and probably get away with that. Yeah. And that would be because they can do things based. What I started realizing,
it's different than
exactly. You're signing stuff that you're giving away certain like your rights. You don't even realize it. Do you think that law enforcement should share more details in terms of I think that if you believe it's going to go cold, should they be really utilizing the public?
Yeah, absolutely. They should be giving more details to the public. I think pride hurts law enforcement. I'm working on a case right now in Rocky River, Ohio, right? My hometown, where 2 people were killed sitting on a park bench in 2019, and it has not been solved. I think, a lot of times law enforcement, they're worried about getting a prosecution. I'm not so more worried about getting an arrest, but closing the case, And, if you can squeeze these people tight enough, you might not be able to arrest and prosecute them, but they might get squeezed enough to expose themselves, even for termination. And the goal is to get them out of the threat mode.
Yeah, I agree. What about this? What type of occupation do you feel, if maybe you don't know?
Well, I don't know about occupation, but I definitely think that this person was strong, athletic to some degree, maybe not sports athletic, but strong, maybe nimble, possibly a hunter, somebody who is not unfamiliar with death, but an occupation, I don't know, logger, some kind of blue collar job, possibly no job at all.
I was just going to say, do you think that this person could be, a trust fund baby?
I don't know. It could. I wouldn't rule it out. Just like I can't rule it in, I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule out anything at this point other than the profile that I'm putting out there, which is white male, 18 to 35, and I think 35 is on the high end. I think it's probably going to be younger than that. Loner, possibly an involuntary celibate person.
Okay.
Somebody ingrained in some kind of video game culture, online culture, where they have no friends and they hate everything beautiful and nice. I think this is a depraved, lonely soul, and I pray for that person for forgiveness. Sorry. I can't help but make me want to pray when I think about this case, because it just hurts my every fiber of a soul.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we've been saying, it's like it's nothing you've ever seen, but like senseless. And
it's a
do you
tough
think what do you think about that? Do you think that the law enforcement? I mean, Scott, this comes from Lou Rose. Scott, do you think it's possible the police could be throwing the investigation to cover for somebody who is well connected? Could this be a law enforcement person that did this?
Well, I'm going to borrow a line from one of my experts that taught me how to testify in court. Right? His name is Mel Tucker, former chief of police, city of Tallahassee, former FBI. And he said, you asked this, I don't even do it in his voice. He said this. Well, Scott, you asked this expert anything. Anything's possible. It's possible that you're a hologram. You're not even here right now. But is it probable? And Lou, I would say it's not probable. Anything's possible, but it's not probable. Especially with the FBI breathing down your neck. I think that's in very slim to none. But yeah, anything's possible. But I'd say.
Not sure if you've been paying attention to the white car that everybody's talking about as a recent. What do you think that that's just,
Well, I mean, it's a car that was out of place or was identified as out of place. But I've also heard that there was a black SUV that was there that was out of place too. So, yeah, I think All Points Burlington on a white Hyundai, unfortunately, one of the most popular cars in America.
Do you think it's at all surprising that this house and these, 4 people, they're obviously the other 2, so there were 6, but that they didn't have some type of security, like that, they like designer stuff, they have money, They have things, that they didn't have like a Ring camera. Is this a case that you look back or you take from it and you're like, okay, we need to, college kids out there, it'll cost you only pennies to divide this up and pay for that a month to have.
Yeah, but here's the unfortunate truth about that is that's not on the mind of a 20-21-year-old,
Yeah.
A 20-21-year-old, and listen, I don't mean to sound like old man time over
getting old.
But I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But after being on this earth for 5 decades now, should you have a Ring camera? Absolutely, you should.
I think of that because of the day and age that we live in right now. It's all technology. I mean,
yeah, you should. Every kid out there, if you
got smartphones. You got this. I mean, why not have a smart house? I mean,
now, would the smart house prevent the killing? No, but would it help catch the killer? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Especially, could it have prevented it? It's like if this house was targeted because it was an easy there's a bunch of maybe people out there that fit this profile to kill because they have things that you don't have and you wish you had, but we went with this residence because it was going to be easy because we know their pattern or something like that.
And a bunch of girls lived there. A bunch of girls lived there. Did Ethan even live there, or was he just visiting?
So no, he was he went to school there and everything like that, but it's technically it wasn't his house. He was on the lease. That was his girlfriend. So he would stay there a decent amount. Okay,
but if you're an outsider looking for a soft target, you think 6 women live there.
6 girls, yeah. 5 technically, but yeah. There's 6 bedrooms, 5 girls. Do you think that it would be at all, relevant to be looking back at the past couple months to see could this be like a neighbor that would be upset with them and trying to get them in trouble in some type of way, and then when that didn't work, anything like that?
No, that sounds. This is too big.
It's just like that's why would you do go slash somebody's tires or something if you're mad,
I like this question from Nancy S here. Have they killed before? Yes, I think they have. Whether it's a human, I don't know, but this person has definitely killed before.
So meaning like it could be an animal?
Yeah, this person has killed before. Absolutely, this person has killed before. Whether they've killed a person, I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah, but they've killed something, because death is not a stranger to this killer.
Yeah, like you said, like how do you just go back in society and you're going to be cool, calm, and collected?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Couple last ones here. I want to make sure that they're okay. Scott, do you think that there was blood on the outside of the house? I don't know if you saw that picture where like I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but I would just think that there would be some type, unless the killer tried to do some type of cleanup job. Did they use gloves?
Yeah, I mean, there could be blood on the outside of the house. I would definitely, now there's a way to find out if there's blood on the outside of the house that was cleaned up, and that's with luminol. And you can spray luminol, and then under the cover of night, that blood will illuminate under a blue light. So yeah, I think there probably is blood in some of the open areas, whether it's the ground or the pathway that they got in and out, whether they came in and out on foot, whether they came in and out in a car, whether they were dropped off there and then the car left and then they left on foot. Rocard's principle, Jacques Rocard was a famous scientist back in the 1700s, and he came up with this theory called Rocard's principle. And that principle says, anytime you enter a room, you bring something with you and you take something away. You leave something behind and you take something with you. So I guarantee you, if they do a careful forensic analysis of the exterior of that home or that pathway leading in and out, they're going to find evidence, footprints, impressions, blood, DNA, hair, fiber. There's going to be something there, but do you have anything to compare it to is the question. Because if you have hair, DNA, a freaking fingernail, and you run it through the system, if that person has never been fingerprinted before, good luck. It doesn't do anything unless you have something to compare it to. You can rule people out, but you can't rule people in unless you have that person to compare it to.
Yeah. So where do you think the murder weapon is right now?
Either still with the person or at the bottom of a lake.
They would have gotten rid of it.
Yeah. I don't think they put it in the garbage. I think this is the kind of weapon that you throw into the body, you throw in a body of water, you throw into a deep lake or something. You don't throw this in the garbage can. Either he still has it with him or he threw it into nature in some isolated area. I would be on the lookout for, Idaho. I'd be on the lookout for any outback trail, any camper, anybody camping, anybody living in their car, by a campsite, by a fishing ground, by a hunting ground, anybody living out in the middle of nowhere. I'd be looking at there. See who's out there local hiding.
Do you think that this killer has been in the home before?
Absolutely. If not, they've cased it from social media. Because just from a cursory check on TikTok on it, and I saw 5 videos all from the house showing points of entrance, exit, showing all of the participants. I think the person has either been in the house before in person or at least stalked it online. So that's the other thing. I would go to every one of the users on TikTok that before the killing that interacted with them, that followed them, that might have done any kind of DM with them, any other kind of mechanical or computer type interaction with the general public where they could get a casing of the inside of the home and have direct communication with any of the participants there. I would definitely be looking into those people online as well. I think that's what the FBI is doing right now. So the killer out there, if you were talking to any of these kids on TikTok or any kind of other platform under any other kind of a situation, they know who you are, and they will find you. You know, but who knows? We'll see.
Can you use the luminol after the snowfall?
Yes, you can.
Okay. And you know, you have a lot of support here, Scott, and they're like agreeing like everything that you're saying, and you're being loved by so many.
Well, thank you.
You're being love bombed.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I love you all back in a bomb.
They're love bombing you over here. And let's see. I'm just trying to something that we haven't maybe mentioned. As far as if you were to give any advice to like the parents, if there anything that you think you could, you know, if you were in their shoes, like tell your PI to do this, or you know what I mean, like, what like as far as like OnlyFans, I mean, do you think that that's not personal enough that these people wouldn't? Like,
that's so personal. I think that, and I don't want to bring that up myself because, you know, I don't want to disparage anybody's name, right?
Yeah, well,
because we're all God's children, and nobody deserves this.
God, no, yeah.
Happen to them. But if there was some kind of an interaction through, let's say one of these kids had a OnlyFans account, you personally, my understanding, you interact with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people could have some kind of take it too personally. Oh, I think I love them, or I think I hate them, or some kind of a slight,
like a skewed reality of perception of reality.
Yeah, skewed reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that should be open to the family. Like that family, if I had the PI on that, the family should be going through every single person that ever paid her a penny, subscribed to anything, bought anything. If there was, and I don't even know if there was an OnlyFans account. I'm not sure. I never heard a rumor about it. But if there is any truth to that, I would have that PI going through every single person that ever interacted on that, because I think there's motivation there. And
do you think
it fits to me, it fits the incel.
Do you think that this is unfortunate that now it's going to be winter break and, you know, the kids don't go back to school till January? Is that going to be?
Yeah, it's tough. Because, you know, what happens to kids in, you know, holiday time, they go back home to their families. Mm-hmm. Their schedules are different. Everything's break. And now you have a great opportunity. Oh, now, where's your boots at? I got new boots for Christmas. It's the perfect excuse to get rid of all evidence that you had in the past. Because now the big excuse is, I threw it away. I got a new pair of boots for Christmas. I got a new pair of pants for Christmas. So, yeah. I think that's tough. It's a tough.
I got a new haircut.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, or like even like, do you think that this would cause like someone to like change their appearance in terms of like would it bother them that they wouldn't be eating, that they'd be like, oh my God, a severe weight loss or anything like that? That I'm just trying to throw things out there to help with, you know, hey, by chance that the family gets to, you know, one of the families gets to see this and they get to hear from you, and it's just like, oh my God, remember what's his name? He used to be like, you know, a pretty bigger dude, and now all of a sudden he's.
See, that you're giving them, I appreciate what you're saying, but you're giving them the credit that they're not a sociopath.
Okay.
A sociopath, an experienced killer, will kill them, go home, and eat a bowl of cereal.
Like nothing happened.
Like nothing, because they don't care, because they're not humans to them. It could be, you know, and that's the thing, and I don't want to hold hard about certain things, but there's a reality. People don't live in the same reality anymore.
Yep.
And if you have an altered reality, whether it's chemically in your brain or chemically in a drug or whatever, you have an altered reality, you could think you've done that, and it's just, it's a tough situation. Yeah. But obviously we're speculating on a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean,
but, you know,
like I said, Scott, you're awesome. I would love always talking to you, and I told everybody that they were in for a really big treat when they got to hear from you, and just.
Do people feel treated?
They do. They said this is the best dynamic duo right now on the tubes.
Oh, fantastic! Well, you do a great job, Lana. I really
thank you.
That. I love your level of detail. I saw the stuff that you've been doing on this case before, and you have a keen mind for detail, and it's I urge you to keep it up because I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you so much, Scott. That means a lot to me. And then last question here. Do you think that this person has a fascination with knives? Is there a connection to why they picked knives?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a knife, like, I mean, I guess, so it's...
Yeah. This person probably owns many knives. I think so. A knife is, I don't want to get too deep into it, but, a knife is almost a sexual device for a killer. Because it is very intimate and it penetrates. And when you're thinking about this dangerous, macabre, godless person, this is a godless person, by the way. This is not a person of faith. This is not a person who believes in heaven or hell.
So when her dad does say that this is a sadistic male.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Sadistic male. I would even say a godless person, a person without a soul. This is an evil, sadistic loner that is dangerous. And if he's cornered, he will try to kill you. And if he can't, he will kill himself. And I hope this person kills himself right now. I hope you're watching because you don't deserve any justice from the courts. And you'd be lucky for the fathers not to catch you, and you'll get what you really deserve. I hope for your sake the police catch you, because that's the only way you're going to live through this. Yeah.
Well, again, Scott, thank you so much. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
A little day date.
So much. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much. Scott Roeder here. Fabulous human. Go check him out. Check out his work. If you're ever in need of some help, I mean, he's the best. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you soon there, Scott, okay?
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for being awesome with Scott. Thank you guys so much. I think it's best to go back, listen to it, digest what he has said, and after some people get to see it not live because they're working, we can recap and talk about some of the points that he's made. But Scott's a phenomenal human being. Scott's life story. Maybe we'll get into that one day when we have him back. But very, very good human being. Obviously, you could see he's a man of faith. And I think there at the end, it kind of hits home that, as a father who wouldn't be in a situation that if they were to ever get a hold of somebody that did something like this to their daughter. But thank you again so much, Scott. Thank you guys for being awesome. Appreciate you. Consider thumbs up in the video or thumbs downing it. You have your voice. You have your thumbs. Use them. You have a say-so, so say what you want. Again, I do want to give a special shout out to the mods. You guys are the best. Thank you, Boston. Thank you, Mod Squad. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Maple Beef, Bumblebee, VA, Hot Ham Radio. Thank you. All saying, look at that. Chicka, what? Nicole, thank you very much. Floydy, thank you. Thank you guys for the new memberships. A couple of those super chats. Thank you guys. I think the most interesting thing that I took away from this talk with Scott would be when he said that he doesn't think this is going to be solved. Interesting for me to hear that. He was being completely honest and why he, was saying that. So also he agrees with Kaylee's dad. If he was in, that situation, he would have a PI, and he'd be interviewing as many people as they could to get as many accounts as they can right now, and to be getting a good look at, bruising body, all that stuff. So again, thank you, Scott. and we'll be back soon. All right, guys, have a good night. Oh, and Nancy S., Midge, thank you guys for gifting those memberships. Because of you guys, a lot of people got to partake in that Q&A. And then I do have a new member, Frankie, praying for you and your community. I did read that you had some friends that are working with law enforcement, praying for law enforcement as well. You know, that day that law enforcement had to see that scene, as well as those students and friends, that's never going away. And I don't believe that this town's ever going to be the same because of this. So prayers for Moscow. All right, guys, good night.